Hello, it's Deborah from the attic. You may remember a few videos ago I showed you how to make some really easy little journal pockets using some papers from Craft Consortium. This collection is Wildflower Meadow, and this is what we made on that occasion, and we also made little tags that we could fit into these pockets. So many of you left comments saying that you had made these and you had found it really easy to make them, that I thought it would be fun to see what else we could put into those that would also be easy but would give you another way of decorating them. This is a version that I made using just plain papers, but in here is where I've made the additions that I'm going to show you how to make today, and they are these. And they just slip into your books really easily. And what they are is paper clips that can hide secret messages. I'll show you what I mean. This is a little pocket that has a space in here for a little piece of paper. It's got a little tab to help you pull it out, but you could write little secret things in there or private things. This one was a folded piece of paper. This is one where I've used a nice piece of card and I've added some white pieces of paper on either side to make it easier to write whatever the private message may be. It might be simply a word of inspiration, like cake. Maybe that's just me. And they can be used in all kinds of different ways. This one has got a piece of card and a little tab to help pull it out, and I hope you can see there's a line of stitching through there as well. And they're decorated with some pieces of ribbon in the top, and this is what I want to show you, is that on the back these are paper clips. They're large paper clips, but they are paper clips. I'm going to show you how to make those today. I've used the little journal that we made previously to clue me in for the sizes for these hidden message paper clips. And the paper clip that I'm using is about 3 inches long. I found these on Amazon. I don't have a link for these, so I suggest you Google really long 3-inch paper clips, and I've already tied a little bit of ribbon in the top of this. When I made some decorative paper clips before, these ones here, these were just a pocket where the paper clip sat inside. In these, and the paper clip was visible as well at the top, and you could tie ribbon or messages or little tags or whatever you wanted at the top of this, and it slides in and out of the pocket really easily. These ones are different because in these ones the inside of the paper clip is actually glued into position, and these ribbons are tied onto the end of the paper clip. And it's nice because you can't actually see, unless you turn it over and you look at the back, you can't actually see what they are attached to, and I quite like that. It adds to the sort of secrecy of the pocket and what's inside it and how is it made, but they're so simple to make. I'm using one of the papers from the Craft Consortium paper pack, and I've cut a piece which is just under 4.5 by 4 inches wide. The important thing is that this works in thirds, and I've scored it at 1.5 inches and 3 inches. And it just folds like that, so you can begin to see how this is going to be constructed. On these ones, because I happen to have a 1/2 inch hole punch, this is a really useful size. What I've done is I've created a little gap here, or punched out half a hole here, because it makes it a bit easier to find your tab. I'm going to use the squares on my mat to help me quickly find the centre. I'm just going to mark that with a pencil. Then I'll take my hole punch and position it so that I get roughly half a hole. Ping! And there we have a little gap there. It's difficult to see on the paper, maybe you can see it easier on the mat. I've got Distress Oxide Vintage Photo and I've got a foam applicator. I'm going to go around the outside edge to give it a nice vintage look. I'm not too worried about my half moon cut out here because I'm going to show you a way that you can embellish that with some more hole punching. I'm only going to do the edge that has the little half moon cut out and the edge that it sees here. Because the rest of this won't be seen. And when it's folded, it looks nice and vintagey. I'm going to put this to one side for the moment while I show you how I made these extra little half moon bits round here to highlight where the gap is. I have a 1/2 inch hole punch and I have a 3/4 inch hole punch. As always when you're punching out little hole reinforcers, start with the smallest hole first. Ping. I hope I'm not the only one that makes the noise when the little thing goes up like that. I've got to try and remember not to do that when this one punches. And then take the larger hole punch, and it makes it much easier to size if you already have a little hole in the middle. If you do it the other way around, it's really difficult. Now we have a big hole, and what I'm going to do is use it to reinforce the little half moon hole that I've created here. Now, depending on what colour you want it to be, you can either leave it as it is, or you can add a little bit of vintage photo just to accentuate it. I have a narrow tipped glue bottle. This is just ordinary glue that I transfer into a little bottle to make it easier to add the glue exactly where I want it. I take my hole reinforcer and position it. Then I've got some scissors and I just cut away where I don't want it. If you were making a series of these, you could use this half that's left over to reinforce another of the little holes. With these ones that I've already made, I decided that I would add a little bit of text. So I took a text stamp. Just use whatever text stamp you have because it really doesn't matter. And then if you want this to sit in your journal and be attached like this, have your stamping of your writing, your words, going horizontally. If you want it to sit vertically in your book with your little secret pouch going this way, then print your words out vertically, and I think we'll do this horizontally. The easiest way is to open the sheet back out again, and I'm not precious about how I do the inking with this stamp. It's just a little bit of ink dabbed onto it. All the stamping is doing is adding a little bit of texture. Another way to add interest to your tags is by adding little scraps of lace or ribbon or whatever you may have. I added 2 pieces of lace to the bottom of these vertical tags. This sideways tag has 2 rows of zigzag on this end and also on this end. Now, on this end, obviously there's no paperclip going in there, so I can sew through all 3 layers, and that's exactly what I've done here. But on this side, I need the paperclip to be able to go in to the pocket, so I can't sew through all 3 layers. So what I've done, I did it when you weren't looking, I'm just going to snip those bits off, is I opened this out, I took it to my sewing machine and I just sewed a zigzag stitch through that top layer, so it only goes here, doesn't go through all three, just here. Now that I've done that, I can glue my paperclip into position. This is how it will look. The short end of the paperclip is a bit that will be at the back and which will fasten the paperclip pocket to your project. Once that's in place, I just take some glue and I glue all around the paperclip so that that will hold and it won't be able to be pulled out. I'm not taking the glue right to this edge because I'm going to stitch through that edge. And my paperclip actually stops about here, so I've left myself plenty of space to add a zigzag stitch through all three of those layers, and I'm going to go and do that just now. So that edge is sewn and the stitching goes all the way through. On this side there's no stitching because it was only done on that top layer. I also have to glue in here to create the pocket, and I'm just going to use my thin nozzled applicator to add a splodge of glue. I'll hold that in place for the moment to give it a chance to dry. And this one is how each of these were made, but they have some variation because it's entirely up to you where you choose to glue your paperclip into position. With these ones, these are all designed to go into a project or a journal this way, so that they're horizontal. So you could put them into your journal that way. I'm just using the front of this to demonstrate. And the same with this one. On the inside they have these little secret pockets, obviously for you to write whatever your message is. And then for the vertical ones, if you wanted those to go in from the top, you just slide those down and the paperclip holds it onto your project. You can add quite a depth of paper to these. There's one where, this one I think, folded white paper. You could actually make a little booklet. You could add a lot more. You could add maybe 2 or 3 more pages if you wanted to write more than just what you could fit on that little patch of paper. So many of you enjoyed these really simple to make little journals. These are just made by folding. But I really hope you enjoy the follow-up as well, that gives you some ideas for how you could decorate the inside of them. Thank you for your time, thank you very much for watching, and until we meet again, take care.